Welcome to the Wounded Angels Network, where today we are going to speak about protractors, aircraft and earthworms. You're probably wondering what's in my pocket. I'm not sure if this is something that exists outside of South Africa, but every schoolboy and girl knows this as a maths set. It is a essential school bit of equipment, and one of the critical pieces of equipment, apart from the compass and the dividers and the set squares, is a protractor. Protractor is a semicircle device, and it enables you to measure the size of any angle up to 180 degrees. And so the reason I want to talk about protractors and aircraft and earthworms is that we're probably getting to that part of the beginning of a new year where you're not sure whether you can still wish people Happy New Year. It's sort of just past it. We've wound up again and we're starting work. And the truth is beginning to dawn on us that we are not going to be the new people that we promised ourselves on New Year's Day that we were going to become. Change, human change, is difficult. The Lord alone knows. At my age, I have tried often and without great success to change myself. Very often in therapy, I'll speak to people about we're able to change the software. I can go from running Mark 4 of a particular operating system to running Mark 6 of that operating system, whether that's on my phone or my laptop. That's a software change, and that's often difficult enough. But can one actually change the hardware? And if you've been following this channel and this series of talks, you'll know that I set great store by the fact that we all arrive here to fulfill a particular destiny, and until we connect with that, we really do not know who we are. And we need to show up. We need to show up as who we are, to be who we were intended to be, and not as the world has bonsaied us and forced us to be. So can we change? Should we change? I'm always amused talking about protractors when people come and say, you know, I've really changed, or I've changed my opinion about something, and I've done a complete 360 on this issue. Well, if you've done a 360, you've gone in a full circle and you're back where you started. How does that change? And very often, we feel from one year to the next that all we're doing are 360s. We set out thinking that we're going to make great changes. We set out thinking that we're going to become new people. We're going to get new body shapes. We're going to be fitter. We're going to be stronger. We're going to be faster. We're going to be richer. We're going to be more pleasant. I need to discover that we've just done a 360 and we're back where we are. Of course, what those people really want to say is that they've done a 180. A 180 degree takes you from here to here, and that means you're going in the other direction. But does the change have to be that great? And is it even possible for me to do a 180? And what do I have to betray if I become a diametrically different person to what I was, heading in completely the different direction that I was heading? Sometimes my problem with evangelical religion, fundamentalist religion, is this thing about being born again. And you listen to people giving these testimonies of how their life was going in this direction, and then they had this salvation moment and suddenly they were going in the other direction. And I'm not just sure it's that easy. So the protractor says to us, there are many different degrees of change. In the 360, even in the 180, even in the 90, there are many, many degrees of change, which brings me to the second thing I want to talk about. So protractors measure the angles, measure the direction, measure the change in the lines. The The second thing I want to talk about protractors, and then I want to speak about aircraft. Now, in the old days, protractors were part of aircraft, and one of the reasons why I find mathematics such a foreign language is that I never quite mastered all of these things that are in the maths sets. Mathematics remains for me a secret, esoteric language like chess and like music. I wish I had been formally trained in all of them. I know people who are, and they seem like wonderful skills to have. None of them are ones. I love music, I enjoy chess, but I haven't mastered any of them, and mathematics certainly not, which is part of my destiny because I ended up doing what I do now and love doing what I do now. And anyway, who wants to be an aircraft pilot or an engineer? Well, at some stage I did want to be those things, but mathematics said, you're not going to cut it. And here I am doing what I was cut out to be. So what is this about aircraft? Well, if the protractor says to us there are so many different angles, then any pilot of an aircraft knows that just the smallest change, 1 degree in course direction over time and distance, can bring you to very different destinations. It's Sean Covey, The 7 Habits for Teens, and you're going, no, wasn't that Stephen Covey? Yes, Stephen Covey was his father, but Sean Covey, Stephen Covey wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the best known book, but Sean Covey, his son, wrote a book for teens, and in that book he gives this very interesting example about an aircraft. Imagine that you're on the runway and you're about to take off from New York Airport, LaGuardia I think it's called, and on that runway you're wanting to fly to Tel Aviv. You're heading for Tel Aviv in Israel and you've set your course. But if on takeoff, at the point of takeoff, you shift your course by 1 degree, just one little line on the protractor, 1 degree course change to the north, means you won't land in Tel Aviv in Israel, you'll land in Moscow. Interesting. Over time, just the smallest tweak can yield a completely different destination. And so when it comes to human change, I think sometimes we obsess too much about the 180 changes, the complete radical transformation that has to happen, because my life is really just rubbish and I have to do a 180 and become this new person. Maybe not. Maybe just a tweak, 1 degree, one little alteration, one little adaptation of a particular habit can lead over time to a very different destination for our lives. So let's not be so radical in wanting these shifts, because what happens is we set ourselves up for failure. If I say, after I've had too much wine one evening, I'm never going to drink again, now I've set myself up to start obsessing, and diets work exactly the same way. The failure of diets is because they usually are completely extreme. I heard a statistic just recently that says that only 5% of people who begin diets actually stay with them and see transformation. Most people lapse and relapse and become who they were before the diet, plus they now have the guilt. That's what I mean about setting yourself up. And then the guilt just makes it harder, and there's more demand for the big 180 change. It's a hamster wheel, just goes round and round. It doesn't take us anywhere. Aircraft pilots know this. Take the protractor of your life, take just 1 degree, tweak just something, and see where it brings you. I said I was going to talk about protractors, aircraft, and earthworms. Earthworms? Well, perhaps you're saying, you know what, I've decided that my New Year's resolution is not to make any resolutions. I've tried the 180s, I've failed. I really have to start accepting that this is who I am, this is how I'm shaped, this is my body, and I want to say, that's cool. Unless there is something in your life that is deeply destructive of yourself, your health, your relationships, your attitudes, then be happy as you are. And if you then want to change that destructive thing that is really causing harm or an addiction or really diminishing you and your relationships with others, then the 1 degree tweak is in order for the long-term destination change. But maybe you can't even do that. Maybe you will find the analogy of the earthworm quite useful. You know that all earthworms do every day is digest and redigest their own crap. That's all earthworms do. They lie underground and they swallow sand and they poop it out at the back, and that turns out in the front of them again, and that's all they do day after day is recycle their crap. And when you get to my age, I want to tell you that the image of the earthworm, that insight into the life of the earthworm, makes me feel quite, they have quite a bit in common with those earthworms. I really feel I can identify with those earthworms because I've got no new crap in my life. It's all old, recycled again and again. And when I work on myself, when I go to my journals, when I look at what I wrote 5, 10, 15, so many years ago, it's all just versions of the same crap. The point is, though, I'm reprocessing it, redigesting it, working with it again. Here you are, old friend, once again. Let me work with you, let me see you, let me process you, let me swallow you, let me digest you, let me poop you out and come back to it again. Like the earthworm. Because here's the thing not to miss. That while earthworms are doing what they're doing, just every day recycling their own crap, they make a miraculous difference to the earth that they're operating in. Healthy soil is full of earthworms. Healthy soil is loamish, and that loamishness, that beautiful fecundity of the soil is caused by the action of that crap digestion and recycling of the earthworms. And so to work in a conscious way with our own stuff, with our own crap, again and again, to come back at it, have another look at it, work on it, tweak it by 1 degree, keep working, I believe, makes a huge difference to the world. It was Carl Jung who said that he believed that the fate of humankind hangs on a very slender thread, and that slender thread is people, or those people who are going to work consciously with themselves and improve and uplift the consciousness of humanity. So even if you feel like an earthworm today, even if all you're doing is recycling your own old crap, I want to say, good job. It's an important work that we're doing. Let us not be afraid of keeping on with the process of becoming more and more conscious, even if it is just conscious of our own dung. For out of that, we compost the earth. Out of that, something beautiful can grow. Can I take this opportunity of wishing you a wonderful, wonderful 2020, and thank you for your time.